All right, guys, welcome back. I'm so excited to be sitting here and doing this, and it's my favorite time of the year, fall season. So I'm really feeling it. All right. So for a bit of an introduction, I want to say that I feel like a lot of us give up really early, and I'll have a really good conclusion for this quote what I'm about to tell you. And that's for the end. So anyway, we give up too early. And I feel like when you do that, you'll miss 100% of the shots you don't take. You know what I mean? So, but on that point, I want to start with my experience with failure and then go on to other important things that I think you guys can find that are really valuable. So, to start off with my experience, I have dealt with a lot of failure, and whether it was physically, mentally, situational, or in life, whether it was good, bad decisions, or just life out of nowhere. Sometimes things happen, you can't control it, right? But it's also how you handle it. So I started this self-improvement journey about, maybe 3 years now, around 3 years, almost 4, I would say 3 to 4 years, we'll say that. And during the beginning, I was learning a lot, and I think that happens for a lot of us. But I think to fast forward in a bit of time after first creating a YouTube channel and kind of getting back from where I used to be, I remember and for a business too. Oh, this is going to be great. Now I'm thinking back, I have a lot of things that I can remember. So, first starting a YouTube channel, there was a time where I was going to be sued for defamation, which was crazy. Luckily, that didn't go through. And then secondly, I had a online business, so I was doing e-commerce. And it actually did really good. I was selling David Goggins posters, but they did get copyrighted, even though I did my best to make sure they didn't, but somehow I got copyright emails. But I was like 16 at the time. So, damn, so it really was 4 years I've been doing this, yeah. So I was 16 at the time, but it actually made really good money for how little time I put into it compared to when you go get a 9 to 5 and you realize I'm trading this much of my life for such a little amount in return. Anyway, so I got copyrighted, and the Etsy business that I had, it just shut it down, and there was a lot of fees, and every time you would actually post something, they would charge you. And I just kind of lost it. I gave up on that, which I learned a lot from it, and also, just doubt with some family and stuff, and I was just kind of, getting in my head. So I failed that, and I think if I handled that failure differently in terms of that business related idea, when Andrew Tate, David Goggins, and Hamza were really peaking, I could have made some serious side money on the side. Even if it only lasted a couple years, I still would have made some really good money. But I plan to do it again once I build all of this and this platform that I have that we're making. So since now I have that experience that I learned from it, the next time I can do it, it will be a lot better than it was before. So, and then fast forward through time, and during that time too, I recently got out of a 3-year relationship. I wouldn't really say that was much of a failure. That was actually a success for me. I needed that, and I ended up being a lot better, and it opened my eyes to a lot of things. So, but during that time, when it came to getting into the gym, doing sports, doing school, and kind of through life, before I was 18, about to turn 18, it was injuries. So, and it was really weird because I was prone to a lot of injuries. Right now, I have about 6 concussions, and most of them from soccer, because I play the goalkeeper. But during the gym and during school, I was not getting enough sleep. I was not eating what I needed to, not hitting my protein goals, or not understanding fitness well, or I would get injuries in sports that would keep me out for years. And through this time, I had multiple concussions, so I would be stuck. I would be bedridden, and some were bad. And then one was from snowboarding, and yeah, a lot of different stuff, right? And so through that time when I was trying to improve my life, also having these setbacks, I could have said to myself like, oh, you know what if I just give up? What if I just stop everything and I don't have to deal with failures anymore? But then I realized that if I would have done that, I would have been stuck in that same spot from 2-3 years ago. I wouldn't be where I am today. And I think about it, that's kind of crazy. Imagine being in that same spot you were when you're at your lowest and you're still stuck there from 3 years, no improvement, nothing happening. And the hell? Oh, my dog's snoring. And I thought about that. It's kind of a crazy thing to think about is we get older by the day. We're not getting any younger. And that kind of can make you go crazy if you really think about it. But we'll get into that in another video. So I had loads of those things happening. And then you have, people obviously have stuff with family or whatever it could be. For me, it was I went without internet for a very long time. And my parents were getting really strict with me, like more strict as I got older, which was really funny. So it impacted my success in terms of like fitness and this YouTube channel and business. And there was times where I was like, you know what? I just stopped. I didn't journal as much. I stopped making YouTube videos as much as I used to be when things were really soaring, like during the best time. And man, now it has me thinking like is this like, what if I just deal with the failure and I give up? How many views is this video going to get? But you have to like not think that way, and you have to keep pushing past it, because in the end it will really be a good outcome. So but yeah, I stopped making YouTube videos. I didn't work out as much. I didn't hit my protein goals. I wasn't getting enough sleep. And I really let some of that failure get to me. And then within time, I was questioning during the middle a lot of self-improvement and kind of what mattered to me most and what didn't, and what I stayed consistent in. But also, again, through these times, I kept getting more injuries, which had another concussion. My most recent one was during a car accident earlier this year in March, late March. So that's a story we'll talk about sometime. So anyway, and then kind of to fast forward, I also tore my hamstring, which sucked. And for me, I kept asking myself and saying like, why do all these things keep happening to me? I keep getting head injuries. I tore a muscle here, or I tore this or that. Had a bad car accident, and this set me back this many days, or now I'm set back a whole year, and then now I don't have anywhere to go, or I don't have a job anymore, or the YouTube channel and the content's been flat, like no success. And then, got in another serious relationship, found out, they were being unfaithful with someone else, and they also had a child, and this was all within the same small amount of time, like back to back. And this year, that stuff happened. And also got shot at by some crazy guy, which it wasn't even our fault. Some crazy drunk guy, 4th of July, decided to shoot at us, a bunch of kids. And that was fine, because I walked out of there in one piece, But I'm just saying, like, there's been a lot of... there's always somebody that's going to have it worse. But my kind of failures were either a few in some years were big ones, or a lot of small multiple things just trying to kind of poke at me, right? Trying to get me to like something in my ear saying, oh, just give up. But I didn't. And I don't know. There's so much more failures that I think also happened throughout the time and recently, but I've really come to condition myself to forget about them and to move on from it. So that's just a small part of some of my experience that I can remember in terms of failures with success. And I kept it pretty short. So now that brings me to the next part that I want to make for this video. And maybe throughout, I'll kind of bring in more experiences as I remember them. All right, so for this next part, we have when does failure happen and why does it happen? So why it happens is because when you're putting yourself out there more to be more successful, you put yourself in the world or in different situations or events where whether if it's you're interacting with others, yourself, or things, something happening, it's going to increase your chances for a good or bad outcome. But it's a very interesting way how the world works. You can be, I guess, maybe you can be spiritual or, what's the word? Not optimistic, but, I lost it. But let's say you can be spiritual about it, where you think, oh, maybe there is magic or maybe there is fate that is a real thing in this world. And I believe there is things such as that. And it's happening to you because it's happening to you because you are a powerful force that is interacting and passing by darker forces that want to, I guess, eliminate you, prevent you, or some sort of roadblock that wants to stop you because you're going through all these paths, all these roads. So, and whether if it's people or things, or it could be anything that is seeing someone or something, and you'll notice this a lot. When you're successful, a lot of people get envious, they get jealous. That's where that failure can come from, is other people. So when that good energy is going through life, some bad energy is going to come towards it. And when you realize that when you realize that's actually kind of a good thing, you know you're doing the right thing. You know you're doing the right thing when these failures are happening to you, when you're trying to achieve this success, right? And when does it really happen? Well, it really happens. It can happen anytime, really, but it also can be very fast. It can be in the middle, or it can be kind of towards the end. But when I say towards the end, there's not really an end to it, I guess, depending on how far you go. Let's say what I mean by when the failure ends, let's say when some failure happens, let's say you get an injury, right? Or maybe it's something with your business or something personal. You're there, you're aware of it, and you analyze it. You realize, okay, how long would this be if it's an injury, or how long could this take to fix if it's your business, or if it's personal? How can I get past this? And that's up to you. If that failure, it ends, and it ends everything else, and you're done. You give up. And then now you're stuck. You're back to square one. Versus where you're like, you know what? Dude, I can just brush this off my shoulders and act like it was nothing. And after that, you'll come to realize, like, I'll be a couple weeks later and be like, whoa, I thought that was so bad so many weeks ago. It felt like nothing. I've been doing really good in what I've been wanting to do, whether if that's a business for you, whether if that's your fitness goal, mental goal, whatever it is, right? And you'll come to like realize you'll stress out a lot less than how you would normally would over certain things, or overreacting or overthinking. So that's usually when it happens. It can be anytime. It can be in the beginning, but in the beginning, it's usually pretty easy. It's actually easier, I think, for in the beginning, because you're learning and you kind of, in your brain, you tell yourself, I'm learning, I'm still so new to this. Okay, this is going to happen. But as in the middle and the end kind of happen, you're like, all right, do I keep going with this or do I end this? And if you can get around that of when it happens, why it happens, and to really be like, you know what, I'm going to keep pushing past this, and you'll come to realize that mindset is really powerful, because it's something saying like nothing can stop you. No force, no person, no amount of anything can stop you from achieving your goals. So basically you're unstoppable. And it happens to the best of us. And sometimes it's like a canon event, because from experience, I haven't shared yet any of my videos. I'll save that because I know the relationship stuff goes really popular, especially when I was posting the old stuff with relationship videos. They were really getting views and interaction. So, but for me, is like something happened to me when it was probably the worst time for it to happen. But then as I got past that and I didn't give up, I promised to myself, to that person, and whoever it is, or if it even wasn't for them, for me or my family, that I'll always do my best no matter what. I will not give up. And I made a promise to myself for that every single day. And it happened at the worst timing when I found out when I was in Europe. I found out when I was in, you could say, the trip of a lifetime, when I just got a new car. I was working, I was happy, I was saving up, I was making money, and I felt really happy with this person, and we were coming up on 2 years pretty soon. So yeah, it couldn't happen at a worse time. And I remember being stranded actually in Bulgaria, and yeah, no, it was crazy. I was stranded. I had emergency landing. I was in another country. I was by myself. And I got to share those experiences some other time, but nah, dude, I remember it like yesterday, and that was almost, what, 8 months ago now? 9 months ago? Well, time flies, but yeah. I remember being sick too because I had so many flights, but I was like, I gotta keep going. I can't just, even though it was so hard, I wouldn't wish this on my worst enemy kind of thing. Even though with how difficult it was, I said like, I can't let this kill me. It was killing me, yeah, but I just couldn't stop. I couldn't just let go of everything because of this, because now I would be stuck in that loop where I'm just sad or depressed or not going anywhere. And coming home was definitely interesting after that. So anyway, we'll talk about another time, which brings me to the next point: how to ultimately deal with failure. And this is going to be a good point that I also was bringing up in the beginning. So let's talk about that. So, how to ultimately deal with failure and being with this for about 4 years. All right. Fitness, on the fitness side of things, it's weird because when I was first I know this is a little experience I forgot to add, but I wanted to say fitness is a big thing for me. And I think one of the biggest failures I've had with fitness, and realizing after that and not giving up, you learn so much when you keep going. When you give up, you don't learn anything. Like I said, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take, of course. So I was kind of on the lighter weight side, and then I got into wrestling, Muay Thai, kickboxing, track and field, soccer, all that stuff, and then the gym. And I enjoy MMA and fighting a lot more. I think there's a lot more discipline, a lot more benefits to it. And I think a lot of the gym culture is kind of shit. But I love the gym, but I hate the gym culture. But I really enjoy the MMA fighting side of things. But anyway, you could still get very strong with both. But when you do the gym a lot, you'll come to realize, like, okay, now what? For me, it's just kind of not tame, but it's all right. But if you do the gym, you get really strong and you build a really good physique and you learn how to fight. That's where the real stuff is at. But you'll notice the difference when you meet fighters and a true good fighter and then a bodybuilder. You'll kind of, yeah, you get what I'm saying. So anyway, but I will say this: I went from like 125 when I was probably in 7th, 8th grade. I was pretty light on the lightweight side, and I wasn't eating really healthy. I kind of got into self-improvement around then. That's when I first did wrestling too. So then as I started getting to more fitness, I was slowly gaining weight, but my metabolism was really fast. But for some reason, I had a really ungodly amount of strength for my size. So I was about 145, 150-ish, 140, 145 during my high school when I was lifting and working out, but I wasn't really like consistent too much. And I didn't really have knowledge when it came to diet, sleep, and supplements, and whatever it was. I was just kind of being an idiot. But I ended up getting really strong, but I didn't gain too much mass. Like my chest was getting really big and my legs and all that, but my arms weren't getting too big, but they were really strong for some reason. I was getting really crazy strength, and I was also super agile and what's the word? Flexible, I guess. So like Bruce Lee kind of stuff. And then I had outings, and then I lost weight, I lost strength, and then I kind of lost everything. So now I'm kind of at the point where, and I really realized like, dang, I'm 20 and I've gained a little bit of weight. I've got my strength back, but I've been going to the gym really consistently, but I've been taking it more seriously, so that I've realized that if I would have gave up back then, I still would have been skinny as hell, weak, and just out of it. And to be honest, I'm not that big. And my goal is to hit 160, 170, but also be able to do, I guess, flexible, agile things. But all right, after that, I just wanted to share that a little bit because I don't know, that's something I've been working on too, is definitely fitness and that. So, how to ultimately deal with failure. I want to say the biggest thing, let me do this one. I want to say that the biggest thing is you have to get out of your head. You have to not overthink it, and you can't give up. Never. And I'll say this. I would say the smallest failures are the best because it teaches you how to get over the big ones. It trains you, it conditions you to, when something big happens or that is considered big in your life, but maybe in reality isn't too much, when you get that mindset of, oh, wait a minute, what am I doing? What am I thinking? This is a test. This failure is trying to get me to stop being successful. And then you're just like, all right, fuck it. How do I handle this? You either analyze it or you're just like, you know what? This is easy. Boom. But those small failures will really condition you. And I understand that, and sure, I understand it's different for everybody because some people are just not in the right time of their life yet, or their head's not in the right space, or some people just aren't as strong mentally, or they cope a lot, or sometimes they play victim. And I mean, you might know people like that, but a lot of us guys that are on this path kind of understand that. We're kind of past that. But if maybe there's someone you're close with, or a family member or friend, that they just keep failing and you see patterns why, and they just keep whether giving up or how they handle failures, and then when it comes to them, it really affects them. But sometimes they don't tend to admit it. So with that being said, the next time something small happens, think about it. Think about, why did this happen to me? How did it happen? And what can I do or what should I do to make this maybe go away, to have myself overcome this situation or this incident, this problem? Or you could say, maybe if it's something, let's say it's personal, but let's say more physical, like an injury, right? For me, let's say for my injury, when I tore my hamstring, it was very painful. And I actually couldn't walk for a little bit. I was on crutches. I could barely sit down to go in the toilet. I could barely shower. I kind of enjoyed it though, because it was fun being on crutches. But I said, this might last this long. This injury might be for a while. But what can I do during this time to kind of make up for that, or feel like I'm doing the right thing, I'm being productive, or how can I really come back from this when I'm done with my injury? It's like, well, I could just start going to the gym. I can train it. I can still play sports. I can still continue what I love doing without being like, oh, I hurt my leg and I can't do any of this anymore, or I'm done, or I'm done for life and I'm giving up on everything. Then it's just a negative process of thought. And if I was there, I probably wouldn't be in the gym. I wouldn't be playing sports. I wouldn't be looking for Muay Thai gyms. I wouldn't be doing any of that. So, and that's the thing you have to be careful for, is really coping, or kind of, I know sometimes we do it, but kind of playing that scenario of like the victim, I guess. And people like it because they get attention. And some people weren't given that, or some people just weren't given love when they were young. So they end up doing that to get people to put time, effort, or love into that person, because I mean, like, it's kind of a toxic trait we all have, because it's like we're calling out for help, right? So that's something you kind of want to avoid. But another thing I have with failure is so let's say you see the problem, you analyze it, you think about it, and whatever happens next is moving on from it, is you think of, how are you going to handle the next one? How are you going to feel or act when something really bad happens, or maybe a huge failure comes out, or you lose money, or you lose something or someone? You kind of develop this I don't give a fuck mindset, because I remember when I rolled my car and I got in a bad accident. It was my first car. That thing was my baby. Oh my God, I loved it. My first rally car. I remember being flipped over, the car laying on the driver's side. I was like this, stuck, and it happened within a flash. I remember just sitting there, laying there for a couple minutes, not feeling anything, but also kind of like, oh shit, all right. I was kind of like, oh, what happened? I wasn't in shock too much. I was so unfazed, but also probably what was happening that night too. But I remember being there, I'm like, you know what, I don't care. And I was just like, you know, I'm gonna take a couple minutes. And I mean, I did a self-check, make sure I wasn't bleeding or cut or bleeding like somewhere serious, right? And I remember thinking like, well, this happened. And I was like, well, now what do I gotta do? Do I just lay here? Do I just give up? And I was like, you know, I thought about it, but I was like, all right, you know, I gotta get out of the car. And called 911, called the dispatch, and I remember like, I was like, I have to get out of the car. I could have just laid there and just gave up, took a nap, not called anything, just waited there. Just be like, you know what, my life's over. This happened to me, got in an accident, lost my first car, job's going bad, or I was feeling sick, or, you know, my girlfriend cheated on me or whatever. And all those things were happening back to back. And I could have just been like, you know what, fuck this. I could be like, you know what, I'm gonna go drive this thing off a cliff. But no, I decided to climb up, get out of my seatbelt, open the passenger side door, which felt like hundreds of pounds, which is crazy because, you know, it's flipped over. And I remember being on the phone with dispatch telling them that, hey, I'm gonna climb out of the car now. And I set her up on the other side of the window as I was climbing out of my car. And oh my God, dude, I remember getting out, looking at that thing, I was like, fuck. It was so sad to see it because I loved that car. But I was like, you know what? I can't let this stop me. I can't let this be the end of me, because I have so much potential. I have a future. I haven't even got started. I just turned like 19 at that time. I was about to turn 20? I was about to turn 20? Dang. Because that was in March, late March, almost the beginning of April. And yeah, that was crazy. So, and I just kept going on from there. I kept working. We were looking for cars. I kept dreaming. So that's something you can't stop doing, is you can't let those things get to you and kill your potential. You have to realize that you are worth more than all of those small things that are trying to eliminate you. They are nothing. So, and sometimes things take time. Sometimes it just takes time and experience. Sometimes that, you know, people can tell you this, or I could tell you this, but maybe it helps you a little bit, but you still struggle. But you do have to go through that experience sometimes in your life to really get a better understanding, a better visual of that feeling, how it feels how you see it, how it affects you and others. So, but I think that wraps it up. And wow, 30 minutes. That was a lot longer than I expected, but I think this video was really good. I absolutely loved it. I'm so happy to get into this. And yeah, well, it is 7 p.m. and I got work early tomorrow. So we're going to call it a night. And now that I'm doing this, I want to make more, man. Man, I call off work tomorrow. I hate my job. Listen, bro, work a 9 to 5, that is going to be a failure. You might think of it as an excess. Oh yeah, I got a job, I'm working, I'm saving money. The best part you're getting is the money. Anything else sucks. You will realize working a 9 to 5 and being stuck is a failure, because unless you enjoy it, fine. There's some people who want to stay where they're at, they're fine. And then those people end up being in those minimum wage jobs for 10, 20 plus years. But I know the people I'm speaking to want to do something else. We want to really be successful, and we want to live a extravagant life, a beautiful lifestyle, not being stuck in a box, a bubble for the rest of our lives and retire when we're 60, 65. Hell no, I don't want that. You have to be crazy if you want that. But that is a big failure. You'll soon learn. You'll be like, oh my God, why did I get into this? But you kind of have to suffer through that a little bit. So I think that wraps it up for now. And yeah, this was a lot of fun. I want to do this more often. So maybe on the weekend or during the weekday, I can make something. Got a lot of videos. So I'm pretty tired for some reason. All right, I'll see you guys on the next one. I absolutely loved making this. I hope you enjoyed it. And make sure to like and subscribe. We're bringing this back. I swear I will. I swear I will. All right. I can't believe I'm 20 already. Yeah, guys, I'm 20. When I started this, I was like 16, 17. And as time goes on, I will release older videos like I have saved in private, so you guys can look back at me, how young I was, had no facial hair, my voice was really high, and then to now. Yeah. So thanks for watching, guys. And I'll see you guys on the next one. So peace.